So in the previous class we were discussed about first of all the food reaches to the stomach, and after the stomach the food reaches to the small intestine. Okay, in the previous class we were discussed about the travel of food into the stomach and small intestine. Okay, so now the food reaches to where? The food reaches to small intestine. So what happens to the food in the small intestine? Okay, here we know that the carbohydrate converted in small intestine, that ഏകദേശം എന്താണ് digestion എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് complete ആവുന്നത് എവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ്? Small intestine-ലാണ്. Okay, and this food, in the food the carbohydrate converted into sugars such as glucose, and then the fat is converted into, in the small intestine, it is takes place in the small intestine, and the fat is converted into fatty acid and glycerol. Then the protein is converted into amino acid. Okay, so the carbohydrate converted into sugar such as glucose, and the fat is converted into fatty acid and glycerol. Then the protein is converted into amino acid. Okay, this is about the small intestine. In the small intestine we can see the carbohydrate converted into sugars, fat is converted into fatty acid, and protein into amino acid. Okay, so the digested food now passes through the small intestine, and the digested food can now pass into the blood vessels in the small wall of the intestine. This process is called absorption. അതായത് small intestine small intestine the food passes into the small intestine, and the wall of the small intestine, the process is called absorption. അതായത് ഈ digested food എതിലേക്കൂടാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ പാസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്? digested food passes into the blood vessels in the wall of the intestine. This process is called absorption. അതായത് എന്താണ് small intestine വാളിലൂടെ ഫുഡ് പാസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, and this process is called what? The process is called absorption. Okay, and there are certain finger-like projections that are present in the inner walls of the small intestine that are called villi. Okay, villus ennu paraya allengil villi. So the inner walls of the small intestine have thousands of finger-like projections. It is very important. That is the villi. Okay, so in the inner wall of the small intestine there are thousands of finger-like projections that are called villi. And what is the function of this villi? What is the function of this villi? The villi increases the surface area. Okay, so the food absorb ചെയ്യാനുള്ള surface area നെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു? It increases. So the villi helps to increases the surface area. Okay, it increases the surface area. The villi helps to increases the surface area. Food absorb ചെയ്യാനുള്ള surface area increase ചെയ്യുന്നു. ആരാണ്? This villi. Okay, so there are thousands of finger-like projections that are present in the small intestine, and it is called villi, and the villi increases the surface area of the surface area of absorption of the digested food നെ എന്താണ് absorb ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ആ ഒരു surface area increase ചെയ്യുന്നു. The villi increases surface area. Okay, so it's a thousands of finger-like projections that we can see in the inner wall of the small intestine, and it helps to increase the surface area increase ചെയ്യുന്നു. എന്തിനുള്ള surface area? For what the surface area increase? എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് surface area? So the surface area for absorption of the digested food നെ absorb ചെയ്യാനുള്ള surface area increase ചെയ്യുന്നു. The villi. Okay, the villi is very important. Each villus has a network of thin and small blood vessel close to. There are numerous number of blood vessels we can see in the villi. Okay, the surface area of the villi absorb the digested food minerals. The absorbed substance are transported via blood vessel to different organs of the body where they are used to build. അതായത് ഈ ഫുഡിനെ അബ്സോർബ് ചെയ്തില്ലേ, the food is absorbed by the small intestine, and this food passes to different parts of the body. നമ്മുടെ ബോഡിയുടെ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ്, അതായത് നമ്മുടെ digestion നടക്കുകയാണ്. Here the digestion takes place at the time, and the food passes to different after the അതായത് after the digestion the food passes to different parts of the body. Okay, and the body where they are used to build complex such as, അതായത് ഈ digested food this digested food used to build the complex substance like proteins. Okay, this used to build the complex substance like protein, and the proteins required by the body, this is called assimilation. Okay, so absorption in small intestine there are two processes takes place: food absorption and its assimilation. use ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഫുഡിനെ അബ്സോർബ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, പിന്നെ അതിനെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഓക്കെ, സോ അസിമിലേഷൻ ആൻഡ് assimilation and absorption. The food is first absorbed by the small intestine and it uses this digested food, and the process is called assimilation. Okay, so where they are used to build complex substance such as protein, and this is called assimilation. So there are two processes that takes place in the small intestine. Now we are discussing about the small intestine. In small intestine there are two processes takes place, that is the absorption and assimilation. So the digested food helps to build the complex substances like a protein, and that process is called assimilation. So in the largest intestine there are two processes takes place, absorption and assimilation. The food reaches to the walls of the small intestine and it receives the food. That process is called absorption. The food first absorbed by the small intestine and it assimilated it. Assimilated means it uses. So the digested food helps to build the complex substances like a protein, and that process is called assimilation. So this process is called assimilation. In the cells, the glucose break down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, and the energy is released. Okay, from the food we get glucose, and this glucose uses to breaks down with the help of oxygen to carbon dioxide and water, and the energy is released. From the food the energy is released, and the food that remains undigested and unabsorbed. പിന്നെ ഏകദേശം digestion complete ആവുന്ന small intestine വെച്ചിട്ടാണ്, and the remaining some food, the undigested ആയിട്ടുള്ളതും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ unabsorbed ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഫുഡും എവിടോട്ട് പോകുന്നു? large intestineലോട്ട് പോകുന്നു. The undigested, the almost digestion is complete in the small intestine, and the remaining undigested food and unabsorbed food passes into the where? large intestine. Okay, so this is about the small intestine. Approximately the digestion is complete in the small intestine. So what are the small intestine? There are two processes that takes place in the small intestine. You have learned about that two process, absorption and assimilation. The food is absorbed and the food is used. After the digestion the food is used, and the digested food helps to build the complex substances like a protein, and that process is called assimilation. After assimilation there are in small intestine there are undigested and undigested ആയിട്ടുള്ള അതുപോലെ തന്നെ unabsorbed ആയിട്ടുള്ള ചില ഫുഡ്സ് കാണും, that reaches to the large intestine. So in the next class we will discuss about the large intestine. So what happens the undigested and unabsorbed food in the large intestine. Okay, so this is about the small intestine. And there is a special thing you have to remember about the villi. The villi is the thousands of finger like projections that we can see in the inner walls of the small intestine. Okay, that are called villi, and the villi helps to increase the surface area, and there are two important processes that takes place in the small intestine, that is assimilation and absorption. After അതായത് ഏകദേശം എവിടെ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആവുന്നുണ്ട്? digestion is completed in small intestine, and the remaining the undigested and unabsorbed food that reaches to the large intestine. Okay, so this is about the small intestine. പിന്നെ ബാക്കിയുള്ള undigested unabsorbed foodum that reaches to large intestine. So in the next class we will discuss about what happened to the this undigested and unabsorbed food in the large intestine. Now we can wind up the class. In the next class we will discuss about the large intestine. Okay, thank you.